What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to your favorite podcast, Hustle Haven. We're your hosts, River the Realtor.
And I'm Tiesha Renee.
And y'all, we're back.
We're back.
As usual, we're not going nowhere either, so.
And if you're waiting for it, then
Keep waiting.
Go to HE hockey stick.
I love that. I'm really excited about this episode today because I feel like this is a lot about you and I in our relationship. But just in general today, we're talking about how to work with or start a business with your friend, your family, your man, whatever. Just someone you have a really, really close-knit relationship or personal relationship and how that kind of looks. Going from the personal to professional. Yeah.
Sometimes it goes really, really good.
And sometimes it goes to HE double hockey stick.
Really, really bad.
But I think we have a really, really good background in this, so I'm excited to talk about it. So let's start with just the general, like the good part about it. Like, what are some of like the high and key points about, working with someone you have a close personal relationship with?
I think for me, one of the biggest things is like being able to celebrate those wins together.
Yeah.
Like being able to at the end of every year, the start of every year, setting these goals, like sitting down, setting these goals, and then celebrating, accomplishing those goals together is like a joy.
Yeah, it is a joy because celebrating wins on your own is always great. But I think when you can share with somebody who you already have that like mutual love and respect with, it makes it 10 times better. I think for me, probably one of my biggest highs in working with you and then working with just other people that I have close personal relationships with is just like the understanding.
Yeah.
I feel like when you work in like corporate America and you're like forced to be on a team, it's like people who you don't know.
You don't know them.
They also don't know you.
You know them in the business, but you don't know them when they leave that office.
And I feel like that really translates into how well people work together. I think like Tiesha and I work so well together because like we really know each other.
Yeah.
She know me, I know her. And I don't know if y'all know this, but me and Tiesha have like very similar, like A-type personalities.
Very much so.
And people I remember when we first met, they was like, y'all gonna either like really hit it out or we're gonna fight.
We said that when we first met, we were like, we are gonna be the ones. You know how you have that friend group and you have the two people that's always
going
like
at it,
butting heads? We said we were gonna be the ones because we do not care what comes out of our mouth.
No,
it's bad,
but I think the fact that both of us are like those people where it's like, we can say what needs to be said and we don't harbor on it because we know that it's all love. It lets us be like extremely transparent. And I think we're able to like problem solve way better than I am with somebody who I have to tiptoe around or be concerned. Like I care about your feelings, but I know if I tell you the truth, you're not gonna be like, whatever, you hurt me. Like you just gonna take it on the chin and we gonna fix it, as a collective. So I do love that.
But I also feel like if you do hurt my feelings,
I
can say that.
River,
like,
stop playing on me.
You ain't had to say all that for real.
And will check me and I will not feel no type of way about getting checked because this is my sister, this is my friend. So that's probably one of my biggest highs. What are some other ones for you?
I also feel like we complement each other. Our skills complement. And I think that's important if you are thinking about starting a business with your friend, you have to kind of look at what are their skills, what are they really, really good at, what are their strengths, and then what are yours, and then what are you guys' weaknesses? Because if y'all got the same strengths
and the same
weaknesses, you need balance.
I feel like we have a good balance. The perfect, like the things I just hate to do, you like, I'll take care of it. And the things that you hate to do, I was like, okay, cool, I can take over that.
It works perfect. I don't know how it is, but it's just like, it just ends up doing it.
It meshes very, very well for us.
How, but like, even as like how we deal with like confrontation or how we deal with like situations, it's kind of like, you know when to listen and I know when to listen.
Yeah. We were talking about this earlier. We both know when to be like, you know what?
That's yours.
You right.
You won.
Go ahead.
I'm going to give it to you. I ain't even going to stress on that. But you know what?
The next one mine, but today, I'm going to let you have it. And I think that really works well. I think another one of my highs is like, I think it kind of goes back to like that transparency and understanding. But I think it's really just the ability to like be yourself and be your best self.
Right.
Like I can honestly say in business ventures or like group settings where I couldn't really be River, I don't think I was able to like deliver the best products and do the best things because I'm a very like personable person and I also really am who I am.
Right.
So in a space or a room where I feel like I can't 100% be myself, I don't feel like I can give y'all 100% either.
Right.
So I love that I could be myself with you, Queen.
And I also want to talk about how like that transparency, how it helps our business, but I feel like it also helps our personal relationship.
Absolutely.
I feel like the way that we're able to be transparent is the way that it makes it easier for us to come sit on this couch and record.
Agreed.
And make these episodes happen.
Yeah.
Because if we kind of feel like, okay, I'm harboring something over here, like, oh, I didn't like that.
It make it hard to do our job.
Now I can't have a good episode. Now I can't come in here and say what I want to say because I'm mad.
No, I agree. And I think for you guys who are like interested in maybe starting a business with your friends or your family, I think that's something really, really key to kind of talk about in the front end, right? to Tiesha's point, talking through, well, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? Because your strengths and weaknesses in your personal life may look different in your professional.
Exactly.
But also talking to that person and trying to figure out, okay, how do we handle conflict so that we can always be great at our job? How do we, take our personal feelings out when we have to deal with matters that are professional? I think having a transparency before you step into that working relationship with somebody is super important, because then you miss having to get to a point of like, now we have a conflict and I don't know how to do it because I don't want to hurt the personal relationship, but I also want to protect the business relationship.
Right. And let's talk about not only that, let's talk about the money.
Oh.
You know how they always say, don't mix friends and money.
Money ruin relationships. That's what my mom always told me.
So it's like, how do you handle your finances? Because the point of your business is to make money.
For sure.
It's to grow. It's to bring in some type of income. How are you guys going to handle that as friends and as business partners?
I agree.
You can't get into business with someone who's greedy or, it wants to take it all, or however, is not good at money management, because you both have to be on the same page when it comes to the finances, on how you guys are spending the money for the business, and then when you're making it, how you guys are, allocating those funds.
Absolutely. I'm kind of jumping a little bit ahead in the conversation because we are going to give y'all some tips, but I will say, like, a really big nugget to that: go into the situation with all your cards on the table.
Right.
Like,
everything.
I think the best way to preserve, like, a loving relationship with your person is to be very transparent on the front end. This is how we're going to deal with conflict. This is how we're going to deal with finances. This is how we're going to deal with, extra people. This is how we're going to delegate responsibilities. Because once you're, like, in the thick of it, once you're in the flow of it, it's hard to backtrack and figure out what you shoulda, coulda, woulda did. And I know a lot of people like, that's my sister. Like, we don't have to worry about that. Like, it's good. Like, no, babe, it's not good.
Because it's not. And it sucks, like, when you guys do start the business and because you did not have those tough conversations up front, now it's like the business is ruining your personal relationship.
I literally agree. And
that's
I hate
a heartbreaking.
that.
A friendship breakup is a hard breakup.
A real friendship
breakup is a hard breakup.
I couldn't imagine me and Tiesha, like, breaking up as friends, because, like, she's my real friend. Like, she's somebody I talk to on an everyday basis, not just about Hustle Haven or real estate. Like,
if we want to be talking, that would affect my life.
Yeah, like, it changes.
Gonna be sad. Check on me, guys.
Different. No, quite literally.
Check on me, guys.
But I think that kind of brings us into, like, what are some of those lows or struggles that kind of come in it? And I think that's, like, the first one we should definitely talk about, like, the effect that business can have on the personal relationship.
But I think it can, the business only has an effect on the personal relationship if you allow it.
Yeah.
Like, it comes from all those things that you're saying. If you're not being transparent, if you're not able to communicate, if you're not having those tough conversations, there's kind of going to be no way around it. It is going to affect your personal relationship. But if you're able to do all those things up front, that resolves all of that. And I feel like with us personally working together, we don't have conflicts, but I feel like we could have conflicts.
Easily.
We could have conflicts, but I think we both know when a conflict is born, we know what we do.
And one of us takes the back seat
when
every
are you
time.
free? When are you free?
We're gonna sit down.
We're gonna sit down. And that goes into knowing how to communicate. You gotta know we can't text. We can't get on the phone.
Yeah, after we reach like a certain level, it's like, all right,
we gotta be
face
to face. We have to be like, okay, let's plan out some time to go get, some wings, some hookah.
And let's talk about it,
and
quite
let's
literally.
Talk about what's going on. I think that's what helps us. So learning the best way for you, 2, 3, 4, however many people are in the business, the best way to communicate, that's effective.
That's gonna be key.
Because if you're texting, somebody can read the text message off the wrong way.
Y'all know text messages, even though they're just like text words, have tones.
Have tones.
You could have been like, hey, girl. And it could be like, hey, girl. Like, what you got an attitude for? Yeah. Like, girl, how did you? But that's literally how things come across. I think that's a really good one.
Yeah.
I kind of want to pivot into like another, I would say low, or like just something that can kind of be detrimental. I feel like it's like when you guys are kind of not on the same page. For me, I feel like it's very easy when you're in a working relationship with someone you have a personal relationship with to take things personal.
Right.
And I think that me giving you criticism as your colleague feels a lot different than someone who's your friend giving you criticism. And I feel like when you can't take the personal out of the professional, I think sometimes it could be catastrophic. Like, I feel like if my manager came to me and said, hey, River, you did this project and here are some things that I would tell you to do better. Versus like if I'm in a working relationship, like with my mom. I worked with my mom for a little bit. My mom said something, and I feel like, why are you always picking at me?
Yeah.
And it's like, take me being your mom out of it. Look at this as me being your business partner, me wanting better for the business. So I think one thing is that it can kind of affect like how you take everything and how you kind of like interpret things from someone you love. And that can kind of affect the relationship a little bit. So I think you got to learn to like not take things personal and really understand that it's coming from a place of like bettering you guys as a collective.
Oh, I think that's a good point because I think we do that kind of like when we're recording. Like sometimes like if an episode's wrapped, River be like, hey, I think you could have spoke a little bit more about X, Y, and Z. And, vice versa. Like we'd be like, hey, like we could have done X, Y, and Z. And it's never me feeling like, oh, you think you know better. Like, what, you're right. I should have. Like, next time we're going to do it, whatever. Like, those type of conversations are like extreme. But it depends on the person that you are. Because somebody could take that negatively. Like, sometimes you got to have to look back at yourself. In your relationship with your friends, look back at yourself. Because if they are doing these things and you're not receiving it correctly, then sis, you might be the red flag.
I agree.
Maybe the red flag for you. You might be the one who might need to take a seat back and let them handle what's going on. Because everyone has to have that reciprocal energy and have a positive and not make it negative.
Yeah, I agree. I think another thing, I hate to call them lows. Like, I want to call it something else. I would say
they're lows. I would say they're like the hard
shit. Some of the hard points.
When you're friends, you want to be nice and jolly all the time. But when it gets down to handling business, you're going to have to have those, like, listen, like...
tough conversations.
Hey, like, I feel like you need to do more of this. You know what? You're right. Like, I could step up in this way, et cetera, et cetera. So
something else that I kind of want to talk about is, like, when it comes to like the personal versus professional, it's again pulling some of that like personal life into the professional. So I'm not gonna say no names, but I used to work with one of my friends, right? And they would always have like an excuse, which normally I would be able to take on if you were somebody else, but because you're my friend and I also follow you on Instagram and I know what's going on in your personal life.
I know what you're doing.
I know what you're really doing, and now I kind of feel like you kind of playing that role with me. And so I think it made it really, really hard. Like, it kind of messed up trust a little bit because I felt like there's a lot of things you're not being transparent about, and you maybe forgetting on the back end, like, I am still part of your everyday life. So I think sometimes, like, again, when we talk about like what things can be affected by you working with somebody you're close with, I think it's like the trust factor and just knowing that person's going to show up, and even if they perform one way in business, how that looks in your personal life. So again, I think transparency is really, really big. And just having those open, honest conversations to kind of avoid, again, losing those friendships or having like bad things happen to relationships you really, really care about. I'm also how do you actually feel about people working with their friends and family? Because I feel like for us, we met in a professional setting. Yeah. And then we became friends. And then we went back to like starting a business together. But I feel like it looks a lot different between than like you and your sister, you and your homegirl from like childhood. Like, what do you think about that?
I think you know the person that you are starting the business with. Like, if you grew up with this person, you know how they operate. You know if they can't keep a job. True. You know if they're always falling out with their friends. You know if they're always fighting. You know they're always calling you, asking you to borrow some money. Why are you going to
start a business?
No, we can't start a business together. We cannot. But you also have those friends like, you know that this girl is extremely organized. Like, this girl is always on it. Like, her job, she's excelling. Like, you know a person because that's your friend. Yeah. Like, you should know before going into that business, at least that general, this is somebody who I can do business with and who can just do business, period.
Absolutely.
Because some people are your friend, but you know that girl, I can't start no business with that girl.
I think it goes back to that old saying, be like, be careful who you lay in bed with. Yes. And I think it's the same thing. I will say, I love how you touched on the small aspects of like other things in life that you can translate into business, because I do think if you haven't worked with somebody, you really don't know what they do for work. You don't know what they do at work. You can take some of their personal characteristics, but again, I think a conversation always needs to be had and really understanding. I would always urge somebody to really talk through it first before you immediately say yes. Yeah. And be very cognizant of who you're jumping in bed with or who you're jumping in business with before you actually do it. Because I'm telling you, like, there are a lot of red flags you can catch on the front end if y'all just have those conversations. Like, don't be so eager to, like, start a business that you kind of, like, look past things that are very apparent. To Tiesha's point, like, you can't never keep a job, but you want me to start a business. Exactly. You ain't never in town. You don't really have the time, but you want to start. Like, those kinds of things, I think it's important to consider. And I think it's okay to say no.
It's okay to say no. And if that puts some type of hostility in the relationship, it's kind of like, are you kind of like using me?
Yeah,
like,
are
why
we even
is it
friends?
Such a big deal that I don't want to start just because we have the same taste in fashion doesn't mean we need to go start a clothing line.
No, we can go shopping together.
We can go shopping together. That doesn't mean it has to be a business. I think you just kind of have to decide, like, you know how they say you got your club friends, you got your business plan.
That's true.
You got to know where your friends are and section them off. And your family.
And my club friends,
and your family.
I'm not starting no business with them. I'm going to tell you right now. Let's be
Love
opening
y'all
the
bad,
club.
but we ain't about to, we going to fall out.
Yeah.
You know who you go. When you know.
You know.
Be for real, y'all. Seriously. Look at
and
the
I think
camera.
relationships are really, if you know, you know. I think relationships are really worth protecting. So what I want to do is, I think we have a very successful case of two people who love each other outside of business, but are able to have successful businesses together, and also able to help each other grow individually successful businesses, right? Because Tiesha helps me with my business, I'm able to help hers. It's mutually beneficial for us both. So what tips can we give them? I guess to kind of get like us.
Yeah, I would say the main thing that works for us, and I feel like we've kind of said it, but having clear roles and responsibilities.
Yes.
This person is in charge of X, Y, and Z. I am in charge of X, Y, and Z. As long as each person is at minimum completing their necessary tasks when it needs to be complete, it's going to flow.
I agree.
It's going to flow. But if you, in the event you have these clear roles and it's not somebody's not doing their part, of course there's going to be sometimes like, hey, like, I'm busy, can you pick this up? But that shouldn't be all the time. They shouldn't be pushing it off on you all the time. So as long as you have those clear roles and responsibilities outlined from the get-go, and again, roles are going to change as the business changes.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it's like, oh, we didn't think about it. We will need this. Like, things are going to change. And maybe you're doing something that is not your strength. Yeah. Maybe y'all need to transfer them. Like, things don't have to stay the same. Yeah. But as long as you guys are clearly communicating that, I think as long as you set that up in the beginning, that is going to be the essential. I feel like that works very well. It's like, I don't worry about what she got going on. She don't worry about what I got going on. But we know that each person is doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, we know that the work is getting done.
Exactly. Now, if it wasn't getting done now, y'all,
it'll be a different.
We going to have a little... But we knew who we got into business with.
Exactly.
Before we got into business.
Literally. I think one really, really good tip, and we talked about communication, but I do want to talk about like the importance of like carving out check-ins.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of times when you implement stuff, kind of similar to what you said, roles will change, but it's like, how do you know that roles need to be changed? Yes. Or something is not going correctly if y'all are not taking the time to like, okay, let's kind of recap what the last 60 days has been looking like. How do you feel? Where are you? What can we do better? I think a lot of times people get into business and kind of let things flow and they don't do those necessary check-ins to figure out, okay, what do we need to do for the next step? And checking in. Like, how
monthly
are you
check-in.
mentally?
You should at least have monthly check-ins.
I agree.
Just to focus on the business. Like, what's going right and what's going wrong. But if you friends, you could be talking.
Yeah. But intentional time about the business. Because I will say this. I do hate when me and Tiesha's like everyday conversations turn into business conversations. Then we have to say like, okay, we gonna take a certain amount of time to just go be friends. But we're gonna take a certain amount of time to just go do this.
Because even when we planning for business, like, oh girl, I got to tell you, we're gonna get personal.
I agree.
It's just like, we're gonna have to mix
as long as you guys are like giving yourself time to really organize and talk about your business. And I think the second thing I would say is communication, just again on the high end level. Yeah. Right. Hey, being accountable and speaking on that accountability, right? Yes. Sometimes, okay, I'll give y'all like one example for us. I'm in charge of social media in terms of like the posting. Sometimes I get a little, and Tiesha will text me like,
don't forget to post.
Where's that post? And I'll be like, you know what? You're right. But I think sometimes when you're afraid to just like, oh, I don't want to step on her toes. Oh, she may have a lot going on. Like, yeah, that might be true, but we're also running a business. Right. So I think communicating and holding each other accountable and to that high standard, I think that really does help the business be able to maintain and grow.
Yeah. Oh, I got one more thing. I think in business, you have to know that not everything is going to go your way. Like, you may have an idea or an opinion about something. I may have an idea and opinion, but we may talk about it, and River has a better one. You know what? You're actually right. Like, let's do that instead. Because I know for me, sometimes I can be like, yeah, I'm thinking this, we're going to do this. But then you'll come in, I'm like, oh, actually, that's better.
Good.
Like,
yeah.
But if you're not that type of person where you kind of, it has to go your way, it's not going to work out. When you're in a business, it's not going to go your way every single time. Like, somebody may have a better idea or something else is going to work better. You have to be open to hearing what everyone is wanting.
I think that's a good one. I want to leave them off with one of my biggest things, and I guess I'll do the same for you. I will say my biggest tip, especially when you're working with someone who is a really, really close friend or somebody you really love, ego cannot live there. So if you're one of those people where you're like very egotistical, like you have to always be right, to Tiesha's point, it's like you want everything to go your way. I don't think you should get into business with anybody.
Period. Just
you should be in a business
owner.
Be your own boss, right? if you're not able to put your wants and needs to the side, so one, listen to something that might help y'all or listen to something that might be better than business with someone else, especially someone you care about, is not a good idea for me. So I feel like remove the ego, remove the pride, and just kind of meet each other where y'all are. Because I think when y'all are able to come in on equal playing fields, communicate actively, and just, again, meet each other in that space, y'all business will do like ours.
It will thrive. It will thrive and it will grow.
I love that. What do you have?
I think I'm going to say, just one last tip on growing it. I'm going to say, if you're doing a business with your friend, just remember that that's your friend. Like, be a friend. Like, don't forget to just continue to be a friend.
That is good.
Don't get so sucked up in the business, like you start treating your friend differently or, whatever. Like, if it's not working out, it's not working out. Go ahead and wrap it up. If it is working out, keep going. But just remember that this is still your friend. Like, you guys are still friends. Like, we're still friends. Like, even if Hustle Haven goes off a planet of the earth tomorrow, I'm still going to dinner.
We will still be friends. Yeah. I think that's really, really important. So I think in the spirit of that, make sure y'all like this episode and share it with your friends. Share with your friends that you may want to start a business with, because I can honestly say out of all the businesses that I've been a part of, the ones that I grow with, the people that I love are the ones that like feed my spirit the most. So I love it here. I hope y'all do too. Like I said, make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe. And of course, catch us next time on Hustle Haven.
Thank you. Bye.